And we are live. Remove that. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool. And Jonathan, today we have a very special guest on the show today, another Jonathan. Not the same one. We haven't cloned you yet.
This one's much smarter than me, I can assure you.
Yeah, based on my pre-interview chat, yeah, I think we're safe to say that.
That's an easy one.
So yeah, he's we're going to be talking about. You've titled this "The Number One Trick You Can Use Right Now to Crank Up Your Email Open Rates." But as usual on the show, we're going to go far and wide from that topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have. He's a data scientist. Have we ever had a data scientist on our show?
I don't think so. We've had a neuroscientist.
That's right.
We've had some people who do data in the neuroscience field.
Yeah.
But a true data scientist, I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So we're going to get into how that might apply to copy, email copy. He's also an email copywriter. We'll talk about AI because there was one line I saw on his website that I think we haven't really talked about. I haven't heard anybody else really talking about it. So I thought we'll bring that up as well.
Yeah.
And I'll save that for the show before I tease it too much.
There we go.
So I'll let you do if you have a bio. If not, I guess we'll just get the crowd fired up and
I don't really have a formal, but I do have some things that I can, let's see. I do have some things that I can work off of.
All right. Yeah, just make it up. Pretend you're AI and just make it up.
I think I'll just make it up. So he is Jonathan Adams. Again, he's a data scientist. We'll let him kind of share a little more about his background, but I can tell you, as you mentioned, he does copywriting. I think he's a huge Gary Halbert and David Ogilvy fan, which that caught my attention right there.
Just knows his stuff. Yeah.
He knows his stuff. So
not one of these young whippersnappers that, following these young gurus. That's some classic stuff there.
But we're going to be discussing the title of the show because I found this on his website where he teaches. He does a lot of training on email marketing, which is still very much relevant today. And the title of this is the number one trick you can use right now to crank up your email open rates. So he does a lot of email marketing training, but he also gets into AI. So we'll talk about that. He apparently created a blog recently with AI, a website just from scratch, I guess. He can talk about that because apparently I was reading an article on him doing this and where he cloned a website using AI. So it was kind of interesting. So it's a little different than what I expected, what we've talked about in the past. So I'll let him explain on the show.
All right. Well, let's fire up the crowd and bring him on.
Welcome, Jonathan Adams.
The crowd's dead again.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
Jonathan, our soundboard has not been working well lately. Last couple episodes.
What is up with our soundboard?
I don't know. Now we've got something to distract Jonathan Taylor for a while.
It's loud on my end, but apparently it's not getting across. I don't know.
I think your soundboard died. I don't think it was StreamYard the last couple of weeks. I think it was your soundboard.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, welcome to the show, Jonathan Adams.
Oh, thank you so much. It's great to be here. I certainly do appreciate it.
Yeah. So tell us, before we get into our beverages real quick, give us a teaser besides the title that we already shared. What's a reason or what's something you think people should stick around and listen for?
Well, besides the one trick you can use right now to increase your email open rates, a lot of what we cover here in copywriting land is applicable to all aspects of life. We're always communicating with other people, whether it's you're writing your congressman, you're having to write a letter to the president of the bank, you're having to get a loan, you're needing to talk with your wife, whatever you're doing, being able to persuade someone to see from your point of view without just staying inside their camp is a skill that lasts forever. So if you can pick up just one thing from listening to this podcast, it helps you do that better. it'll stay with you for the rest of your life. And why would you not stay and listen to that?
Absolutely, that's right. I tell you what,
It's a good teaser.
I've gotten a couple house deals done because I submitted a letter that I used my copywriting skills for that got us chosen over some other people. So yeah, it definitely happens quite a bit. So, all right. Well, Jonathan, I know you don't have a beer, but you do have a fancy beverage today.
I do.
Jonathan Adams.
The other Jonathan.
Yes. Sorry, I'm going to have to say last names today. I can see. So yeah.
What is your fancy beverage, Jonathan?
I'm drinking German sparkling water today. We have a nice Gerald Steiner.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. Better than Topo Chico. Better than the San Pellegrino. It's the ultimate. So.
Got a nice smooth. I know there's water sommeliers now. Like the.
Yeah. Is it really?
Yeah. There's like a whole. They're big up in New York, apparently, of course, and they'll do whole classes on like everything from Fiji to Aquafina, all the way up the line, to the stuff you're drinking. So I don't know if you're that good with water, but I can definitely tell a difference between waters. I mean, there's, you just said it's better than a couple of those. So
where do you get this German water from? Where do you, where's your source?
Publix.
Okay. Thought it was like...
He's right up the road from you, by the way. I mean, he's in East Tennessee. So
yeah. Where are you located, John?
Outside Nashville, Murfreesboro.
Oh yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know the borough.
Yeah. Right up the road. Right up the road.
I stay in there. I stay at the borough every now and then when I'm in town.
Very cool. All right. So Jonathan Taylor, what do you have? You got a homemade special.
Yeah. This is a homemade concoction. Been working on this. So I've had one beer on this show previously. It was a few weeks ago that I had made. So my son and we decided we were going to try our hand at a whiskey barrel stout. Now this takes about 6 weeks. So it's not a fast process. So this one's been in the works for almost 2 months and finally ready. We bottled it a couple of weeks ago, but you got to give it that time to, for the carbonation to set in. And then we were finally able to put it in the fridge this week. So this is the first time I'm having it.
Nice.
On the show. I've done no, of course, I just took a sip a few minutes ago. So it is kind of a pre-test, but I'm giving it a fair rating.
Okay.
I'm not going to be biased. Okay.
All right.
I'm giving it a free.
Do you have a name for it?
No, it's we'll give it a name if it's really good. I'll come up with something, but
all right. Then you got
whiskey barrel stout. It's 6%. That's what I've determined from our formulation in making this. We came out at about 6% ABV. So
okay, very cool. All right. Well, I've got on my end, I've got a wrist rocket from Real Ale Brewing Company over in Blanco, Texas. It's an imperial blonde ale. So it's a blonde ale, but it's an imperial grade.
Yeah.
So they base it off their Fireman's 4, which if you're in Texas, you might recognize the Four Fireman's beer. This is like that, but with more alcohol. So it's an 8.5%.
Okay.
Imperial blonde, smooth and crisp with notes of apricot, honey, and a pleasant golden hue. So there we go. So, and here's my.
Sounds good. Sounds refreshing.
It looks like a very light beer, but it comes in at 8.5%. So, careful. So, all right. Well, gentlemen, cheers to a good show.
Cheers. Cheers up.
I heard that barely.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. So, Jonathan, we usually give.
How's that? Was that loud?
That was better.
There we go.
It's going to be playing with that board all day. So Jonathan Adams, what we rate on a scale of 1 to 5 pints, 5 being the best. You can use decimal points, whatever you want. What do you give your fancy German water?
4.6.
All right, 4.6. JT, what do you grade yourself? If it's bad, you can blame it on your son. If it's good, you can take the credit.
I like it. I was expecting it to have a little more of a head. So I'm a little disappointed at that, but the taste is good. It's got a nice aftertaste. I'm going to say 4. I'm going to give it a 4.3.
Very nice.
4.3.
I'm going to give mine a 4.5. It's got that ale feel to it, but it's got a little bit of almost like you can taste. It's a little bit thicker, almost like a cream ale.
Yeah.
So it's very good. I'm going to give this a 4. I'm going to give this a 4.7.
4.7.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good run on the show
4.6,
today.
4.7, 4.3. I like it.
Yeah, not bad at all. So, all right. Well, let's jump in.
Jonathan, tell us about yourself, since I didn't give you a proper intro. Why don't you give us a little background on yourself for our listeners?
Okay, sure. A little bit of a Renaissance man, as you can probably tell. Data science and email copywriting. I am trained as a mechanical engineer.
Oh, wow.
And
that's cool.
Also, dive heavily into commodities trading and stocks. And a lot of the stuff I do in data science, I study the stock market and commodities and things of that nature, because it's an endless sea of numbers that you can play with. So why wouldn't you?
You are a Renaissance man. I tell you, that's impressive. I mean, cover the gamut.
So do a little bit of that, and then outside of that, just spend time with the wife and kids. So, but work keeps me busy. But I've done a little bit of everything. So, but one of the things that really drew me to copywriting was years and years ago, probably over a decade ago, I started my own engineering firm, but not on my own. And at that point, I didn't know how to sell. I had absolutely zero sales training whatsoever. And I still got some work simply from my reputation. And then I was going to have to start doing a lot of traveling, which I wasn't set up to do at the time. And I realized this is a problem. Obviously, right? If you don't know how to sell. Since then, I realized, well, business is not about what you do. It's about marketing what you do, because you can always hire someone to do the doing. So all businesses, no matter what they're doing, it's marketing. It's marketing. It's marketing. And until you understand that or wrap your head around it, you're not going to be successful as a business owner. I say successful, and I've spoken with many business owners who's simply, we got so much work, we don't want to grow, we're covered up, and they're getting by and they're fine with it. But as far as you actually growing beyond the realm of the natural influence of your bubble, you have to be able to market. And it just fascinated me. So I started digging off into all of Gary Halbert's stuff. That led me down to the older stuff that even he looked at. What's that book of letters that he recommended?
Boron letters?
No, it's the even older than that, back in the 30s.
Is it the Blue Book? The
Blue Book.
Robert Collier letters.
Robert Collier letters. Yes, I read
Robert
that
Collier letter book. I think
that's
what it's
an
called.
excellent book.
Yeah, I've got that. That's a great resource.
It's a great resource. $100 million mailings. There's just so much out there. And when we started looking at it, it all started to kind of gel and make sense. And then all of us has experienced copywriting before. We just didn't know what it was. We've always been all of us have been on the landing page that just would not end and kept having sign up now. And it's like, man, they're wearing me down. I'm about ready to click. And so, but once you realize that you can harness that power yourself, and that there's a little bit of formula to it, it's very exciting to learn. So
I think it's great to hear an engineer, Jonathan, because I work with a lot of engineers in my field, and it's kind of cool to see an engineer who likes marketing, right? Enjoys copywriting. Because most of the engineers I work with are like that. They're far from that. It's just not in their wheelhouse, and they don't have an interest. But marketing works. It doesn't matter who you're working with, whether you're working with an engineer, whether you're working with just a dentist, a lawyer, an engineer. People are people at the end of the day.
Absolutely, they are. Yeah.
So how do you?
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, like, jumping from data science and mechanical engineering and the world of numbers, as you said, with commodities trading and all that kind of stuff. Did you find that you just have? I mean, do you see words like data, or do you? Because I know a lot of copywriters that get into copy, they kind of like words. They maybe they're readers, that kind of stuff, or musicians sometimes, which kind of cross between math and words. So I'm curious, like, how do you? I don't know because you only know how you see it, but do you think you see words differently than the average copywriter because of your more technical math background?
I'm also a musician too, by the way. I failed to mention
Goodness.
that.
Do you see? Is it more of a formula for you? I mean,
it kind of is more of a formula, but it's not a hard set formula. There's room for creativity. So it's, AIDA. We know that formula.
Yeah.
But there's so much room with what you can do with it.
Oh yeah.
I think one of the things that helped me tremendously was actually, Gary suggested writing out by hand the best ads you can find. And I wrote out by hand some of his stuff and Carlton's stuff. Doing that and going back and looking at what you just wrote was a great teacher, because I realized, he is excluding every other possible pathway that the individual could come up with.
Right.
Is he leaving them with nothing? And he's going to present to them the solution that's right for them. And there is no other choice. And he does it in such a way that you're convinced. And that, to me, is a formula. And once you wrap your head around that main thesis, it's like, okay, I can take anything else and build on top of that. Actually, measurableadvertising.com, that site that you pulled up and looked at, that entire sales letter is really built on top of the carcass or skeleton of Gary Halbert's letter for the porcelain veneers.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I actually wrote his out by hand, looked at the structure, peeled apart the structure, built the structure out, looked at the skeleton, and then I built mine on top of that. I guess that's a little, I wouldn't say that's copy, but it's, I looked at the frame and then I built my own house on top of the frame.
I'll tell you what,
I'll do.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first copywriting job I had. That's the first thing they had me do is go through, print out, 25-page sales letter, and then go line by line and out in the margins, say what that line was doing. Yeah. Was it a piece of proof? Was it a claim? Was it, a question? Was it whatever it was, all the different elements, and then you put that on a different piece of paper without the copy. And like you said, that becomes a framework that you can then use to write your own copy. So that's a fantastic method to learn copy in a very structured way, and allows you freedom to write it how you want, as long as you're covering those kind of points.
And the thing that really blew my hair back is when I started reading Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz.
Oh yeah.
I got my hands on that book. You got to pay for that book. And but I read it 2 or 3 times, and then I finally sit down to actually study it.
Yeah.
Which is different than reading it, because reading, like, oh yeah. And then when you go to study it, it's like, oh my goodness, how did someone ever come up with this? And I remember getting past the first 5 chapters just about the headlines. And then we start talking about images. I immediately realized every Blue Jean ad I've ever seen in my life made sense.
Yeah.
And I said, let me go look at some Blue Jean ads and see if they are what I think they are. And I remember pulling up Guess Jeans, and Guess Jeans aren't selling jeans to young girls. They're selling relationship to young women.
Yeah.
And every picture they have is a picture of the beautiful young woman with her boyfriend, and they're on the beach or whatever else. It's all the same thing. They're not selling jeans. They're selling, if you buy these jeans, you're going to have a relationship that you want.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's doing that through images, and Eugene knew that. And he said, your image has to match your copy. And then I saw one of his ads where it had, it was the, are you ready to be a $10,000 a year man or whatever it was, for some sort of income business deal. And the picture was pencil art showing a gentleman putting jewelry around the neck of his wife. I said, that's perfect. He completely understood what he's selling, and the image matches it. And you juxtapose that with what you see today on television or on the internet, and these people have no clue what they're doing. They're showing you images that have nothing to do with the appeal. They don't even know what the appeal is.
Yeah.
Many times you don't even know what they're selling.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating that they've gone this far away from just stuff that's automatic.
It's all about how creative they can be, but
Right.
creativity doesn't mean, just because you're creative doesn't mean you're selling anything through that. You know, it's not persuading, you know.
That or it's e-com and it's just showing the product and
Yeah.
That's right.
you know, the bottle, the shoe, like, but not the lifestyle, not the, you know, the identity of that person who would wear that. I mean, that's what Nike does brilliantly, and Apple, and that's why they're all multi-billion-dollar companies, is because they understand it's not about the product. They understand it's about the identity of the person who buys the product.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, I've only seen probably one advertisement in the past month that I thought was really good, that really captured what we're talking about here. I'm probably going off a little bit in the weeds, but that's okay. It was Subaru.
Okay.
They had a commercial where, and you may have seen it, said, I first fell in love with our Subaru when it was wrecked. And they showed that wrecked Subaru and the husband and the little girl running towards the wife as she was pulling up to the wreck scene. And I said, they sold it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's perfect. They sold exactly the appeal that they were going for. That was the perfect image. It lasts like 10 seconds, ad over, done.
Yeah.
And like, why is there not more of that?
Yeah.
And there's just not.
Yeah.
See, I thought you were going to say Sydney Sweeney in the American Eagle. Yeah.
Well, that sells as well. That whole controversy was.
Well, you know what's crazy about that is I was doing some research, and like Brooke Shields did basically the exact same ad in the 80s with Calvin Klein and got the same kind of blowback. They got a little bit more blowback because Brooke Shields was only 15 and there was some issue around that kind of stuff. But the script, if you listen to the script, was very, very similar, you know, about jeans and all that kind of stuff. So the play on words and all that kind of stuff. So whoever was at American Eagle went through their swipe file and was like, hey, who can we put in these jeans? So yeah.
You know, I did an experiment one time, and to get to the main appeal of anything, you got to keep asking why someone's doing it. And, you know, okay, so let's take someone's teenage daughter that's going to the mall to buy jeans. Why is she buying jeans? Well, she's buying jeans to several different things, to either look good or to be thought of well among her peers. Well, why does she want to do that? Well, she doesn't want to be ostracized. Well, why does she want to be ostracized? Well, she wants to be thought of well by both the girls of her school and the boys of her school. Why does she want to do that? Well, eventually you get down and drill it down enough, you find the major appeal. She wants a relationship with a boyfriend. And we're going to sell that, and everything we do when we sell jeans is going to be towards that appeal. And Sydney Sweeney, you know, what was the main line in that ad? This makes your butt look amazing. You know, whatever it was. I was like, there it is. You know, that's the main appeal. That's what we're selling, and they did it.
No, their sales went up like it skyrocketed after that.
Yeah, nothing like a good controversy to boost ad results. That's for sure. So before we forget, why don't we pivot here a little bit and talk about this trick to get our email open rates, so we don't forget about that. And then we'll see where that goes. Then we'll dive into AI a little bit. But yeah, let's talk about this trick you can use. And I'm curious, like, is it data? Is it copy? Like, curious where this is going to go.
I'll throw about 4 or 5 things out there. There have been some studies that say Tuesdays are the best days for emails done. There's also been some studies that says subject lines that are between 18 and 24 characters have the best open rates. That one I'm not sure I quite believe. There's been some more studies that say if you have some sort of personalization within inside the subject line, you can increase by 6-fold your email open rates. But all that kind of speaks to the same thing. it's the subject line that really makes the difference. You know, for those of us who were old enough to remember sitting at desktop computers with the email client open where you had the preview window, every time the email come in, you could actually see pretty much the email before you ever opened it. 75% of emails now, maybe 77%, are seen first or only open on a smartphone, which means that preview client is gone.
Yeah.
So you only have 2 chances of ever hoping to get your email opened. And that's number 1, who's it from?
Yep.
That's the long-term game. You have to consistently send good stuff.
Yeah.
So if you've been sending a lot of mediocre stuff or a bunch of AI garbage, you're going to spam. So you have to send amazing stuff, better than anybody else inside that inbox. And the other thing is that subject line. That subject line has to be so on the money that they can't resist opening it. So people need to spend 3 to 4 times more time on their subject line writing than they ever need to do on their actual body of their copy. Absolutely. And that's the one thing that I think probably most copywriters and most businesses and pretty much everybody that writes emails gets wrong, because what we do, the first thing we open, we all do this. It's human nature. We write the email. We want to write the email. We put the address, who it's to. The last thing we ever do, and we're in a hurry to send it off, is what?
Subject line.
Yeah.
Subject line.
Yeah.
Absolutely backwards from what we should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just pulled up my phone here and I was looking and I was the from is in bold, on my iPhone. And then on average, I can see 4 to 5 words. I don't know how many characters that would be, but on average, it's 4 to 5 words. None of them are really a full sentence or anything like that. So yeah, you've only got in this particular email client I'm using. If they put I don't know if I'm seeing the preview or like the first line of text, but I do see that on some people that have it activated. Not everybody's showing up. So yeah, you're right. I mean, I think people underestimate how important the from line, like the from is.
Yes,
for sure.
That's true too.
Yep.
And the difference, especially if you send it from the same person every time, then you switch it up and you put it from somebody else in the same company. Sometimes that can really boost things, especially in a promotion. If it's usually from, one and it comes from the CEO all of a sudden, can be cool. But yeah, so do you have any tricks for writing subject lines? Do you sit down and try to write 25 of them? Do you have a formula that you like to use? How do you go from there if you're doing subject line first, because you don't have a lot to work with there? How do you then expand that into an email?
For me, what I would usually do when I go about doing that is probably collect hooks that you see. Say you're scrolling on LinkedIn, Facebook, anything, and you see just those first little sentence hooks that you have. Start making a collection of those.
It's a good idea.
Make a collection of those and then truncate them. I have an editor on my computer where I can actually set a hard line to where I can only be so many characters and it stops. So I have to take this sentence, I have to shorten it, and you truncate it. Another thing to do is, this is a good tip, is clear all your cookies and cache on a browser on your computer and log into a new instance of YouTube. Look at the front page of videos that they try to show you and look at the thumbnail titles. Look at the actual illustrations and look at the actual titles of the videos. People spend a lot of time and money hacking that algorithm to figure out what's the best thumbnails. Steal those thumbnail titles, rework them, and turn them into subject lines. That's another thing you can do.
Wow.
That's a good tip.
That's already been proven to work, and it's already been proven to grab people's attention. Otherwise, YouTube wouldn't be showing it to you. So use their research and their money for your purposes. The last tip, I give away as much as I know. The last tip is go to a site like MSN, AOL, Yahoo, whatever it is. And
one of the big aggregator sites.
Yeah, big aggregator sites, MSM. And look at those ads at the bottom. Start collecting those ad titles as well. Those are usually pretty provocative, have good hooks. And as you make this collection, you're going to start seeing, okay, well, the same things that worked back 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago works today. 7 tips why homeowners want to go and burn their house down. Whatever it is. We're including numbers. Yeah, perfect. Owner plans bucket list. Before putting dog down, and unexpected happens. Unexpected happens. See, this is perfect. See, you already know you want to pull that out.
Yep.
Right.
That's the hook.
Yeah, it's curiosity. People.
Yeah.
Like, what? What happened?
Yeah, some good stuff. This is 15 years ago when I got into copy, we did this with like magazine covers. You can go to the grocery store or wherever.
Oh yeah.
Just look at all the magazine covers and all the blurbs. Yeah. Those are all tested.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Those are set formulas that have been working for 30 years in the magazine business. And you can still, Barnes and Noble, still has some, pretty good sized magazine rack that you can do the same thing with as well.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously you have to go there, but sometimes it's good to get out of the house. So,
but for those who are getting ready to, write their next email, it's just one tab over. You can go to
right. Exactly.
Get you an idea, and it's guaranteed to be better than what you were thinking of just putting in there without thinking. So,
yeah.
I would show the YouTube, but I don't want to show my YouTube because people might have questions. So, those are good tips. I like those. That's good. And do you start to see patterns with those? I guess if you collect enough of them, you're going to start to see patterns, and you'll be able to kind of come up with your own as well, because you kind of get in that habit, that space.
Absolutely, yeah. I have I forgot who that was. There was, his name's copywriter. His name will come to me in a minute. He freely gave out 10,000 headlines that he had collected over the past 10 years. And I went through that PDF. It's multiple files. And as you start scrolling through it, you just start selecting the best ones. And all of a sudden, you do start seeing the patterns. It's the ones with the numbers. It's the one with the shock. It's the one with the curiosity.
Yeah.
And it's combining 2 or 3 of those things together. And then if you can make it shorter, even better. National Enquirer, all of it, they all start looking.
Oh, yeah.
You start seeing the pattern. And you just use that same pattern, because the unsuspecting reader that you're about to, throw that on is not going to know what's happening to them.
No, and it's like a formula. Like you said, it never changes, because it's like Sean said, you go to a magazine rack and you look at whether it's a Men's Fitness or a Wine Spectator or whatever, Cigar Aficionado, it's all using that number of, 7 ways or 5 ways or blah, blah, blah. It's like to kind of hook you, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
very specific numbers.
And those are still the most popular blog posts on the internet is anything listicle style posts. And, because those headlines just work. I'm curious, Jonathan, how many emails do you write a week for clients? Are you writing 10 a week, 10 a day, 10 an hour?
It's not really that much. No. Right now, that part of the business is kind of paused. I'm trying to focus a little bit more on writing some sales letters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Sales letters.
Yeah. So I got 4 sales letters I'm getting ready to have to write here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I want to spend some quality time on those because they're going to go out in a series.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I've got a list, the whole Dan Kennedy, bill collector type thing where we send 3 or 4 sales letters in congruency every 10 days. So we're going to start that campaign here shortly.
Oh, that'll be a fun thing to do. Let's shift over a little bit to the data science side, and tell us about kind of what is data science. And you and I talked before the show, like definitely some crossover there with email marketing and copywriting results and all that kind of stuff. But tell us kind of more about your data science side, because I know you actually have a separate website for that as well. So let's talk a little bit about that and maybe how the two relate, and then we'll move into AI after that.
Okay. Well, I guess data science, I think of it a little bit more differently than probably most people. Most data scientists, and a lot of what you see is people wanting to aggregate and collect data, clean it and manipulate it and show graphs. And while that can be helpful, I think there's a large portion of that business that's missing, because when you work with business leaders, a lot of them may not be tech savvy and they may not be able to code, and that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But they need clear direction and they don't need ambiguity. So I think a lot of the data science community is falling short in that regard. They're just saying, well, we made you this pretty graph and it has this dashboard and it has all this stuff. Isn't this what you wanted? That's great. But what I really want to do is I want to make money. And so how is what you're doing going to make me money? And I don't think that question's asked a whole lot. So I always try to approach any project in that sphere from, this is what they think they want. Okay,
Right.
let's take that in a box and let's put this over here, because that's probably not what you really want. You just saw someone else have it and you think you should have it. And that's totally wrong. You say it all the time in manufacturing facilities is, well, this other plant had it and they make all this widgets and we need one too. Yeah, but you're not the other plant and you're not making the same stuff. Yes, but they have one. You're not understanding what I'm telling you. Yeah, so people will just see somebody else have a car, they want that car too. So you have to get past that. So you have to actually look at what are you really wanting to see out of this data, and what actions are you willing to take based on what I show you. And then that kind of starts defining the project. And then, a lot of stuff, it doesn't have to be very convoluted. It can be pretty simple. They just need to get real focused on what they want to do and what they're willing to do. So that's kind of how I approach that a little bit differently. But I guess my love for that started back in engineering school. I wrote a paper where I was studying some aerodynamics, Faulkner scan wedge flows and boundary layer theory, basically what happens at the start of the airplane wing, and what actually happens in that space. And I was able to make some equations that were new. I didn't get to present the paper because I had to go take an exam that day, but that kind of got me interested in. And then when I started commodities trading, it really got me interested in being able to code all that stuff up, and it just kind of took off from there. So,
wow,
that's awesome.
So when you're writing your copy, how do you take that world and apply it? We talked about the frameworks and stuff, but when you're working with clients, do you really have them set up data tracking so that you can see the results? And then if so, like, how do you read those results, that kind of stuff?
Well, a lot of them just basically there's a big push for like Tableau or visualizations and dashboards. Mm-hmm. And that's what they want. And they think if they have more metrics, they can see more stuff and they can see it in real time, they can make better decisions. But I try to steer them off into, okay, which decisions are you actually going to make, and there's no need to put more information to you than you can possibly handle. So I actually try to tone that down quite a bit. As far as tying it back to copywriting, I guess the best example would be, if you look at the data science website, I actually built that one from scratch. Like, that's not WordPress. I actually coded all the HTML and all the CSS, and I wrote all the copy. And that entire thing is basically just a giant sales letter where, I'm selling myself on data science to these professionals. So I don't know, it's kind of a little bit different. You definitely have to sell these people with the proposal and the scope of work, because they're not sure what they want, and you have to define that for them and then sell it to them and make it their idea. And without copywriting skills, that's very difficult to do. And you can't come at that from a technical standpoint, because it just won't work. They'll shut down. Mm-hmm. They have to be led there. They have to have every other option taken from them, and then your idea presented to them. And then you tell them, this is what you were really wanting to say. You just didn't know how to say it yet.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I always think of it like Inception, the movie Inception, where you're implanting a dream in their head that then they think is their own. But if you do it well, that's the way it comes out. Well, let's shift gears a little bit to AI, because there was one line we were talking about this before the show, but that you had on your measurable advertising website that just caught my eye, and that was the coming AI model collapse.
Yes.
And it's especially relevant this week, I think, because what we've seen with ChatGPT-5 has been kind of a disaster for a lot of people. And people think, oh my God, they've just broken it. It's terrible now, whatever. I do think there's overreaction. Like with every software update, people freak out and, think the world's falling apart, and then they usually tend to fix it. But first of all, what is the AI model collapse? Let's start there. Like, what is it? Is this your term? Is this something that's out there that I just haven't heard of before? Like, what is this?
This is something that's been out there for a little while. We have realized in the AI space that pretty much all of the known human written data that's been accessible, both legally and probably illegally, I can't claim that it has been, but let's just say that from what we can tell, we've accessed everything that we can. We've already trained these models upon. In other words, we have ran out of human written material to train the models upon. Okay. Now, because we live in the age of the dead internet theory, we have so much AI generated content on the internet. The AI models are starting to train themselves on that AI generated data. That is only going to get worse as time goes on. Here's an example. Have you recently done a Google search and the only 5 sites that it will reference is Reddit, Medium, Wikipedia, and it'll give you a summary, and what it just told you is incorrect.
Yeah.
And then you look at all of the results down below the AI summary and try to find some sort of source that's reputable that you can actually look at, and you're still digging into page 3 before you ever find something that you actually trust.
Yep.
That's happening to people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Reddit is not where I want to go when I need authoritative information.
Right.
It's a great place to go where you want to find opinion.
Yeah, dogmatic information is great there.
Yeah, if you want to see how people are thinking or how they think about a product or a service or what they're feeling, Reddit's a wonderful place. You can spend all day. But if I need to know something of a critical nature, I don't want Google's AI searching Reddit. And sadly, a lot of code base inside these AI models has been trained on stuff from there. A lot of its general knowledge about certain topics or relationships, which, my wife told me the other day, people are using AI to tell them how to manage relationships. And I told her, you've got to be kidding me. She said, no, that's a thing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so there's just not enough data to train these models any further. So what we've done right now and what we're approaching over the next probably 18 months, especially with Grok 4, and I think we're starting to see it with GPT-5, is that we have used all the data we can. We've played with the transformers, and the transformers are just a mechanism behind the scenes that decides how to split the tokens up and how to do the neural network and do all the math. We've maximized all it can. What we need desperately is more data, and there's not any more to be had. So the advances that we're going to have aren't really going to be advances any longer. They're just going to be incremental improvements or changes. Unless, of course, we are able to run local models on smaller hardware by certain quantization techniques and can house larger models on local devices, which that's probably coming. But even still, ChatGPT-5 is a huge model. DeepSeek is a huge model. And you can play with it, and it still has limitations. 600, I think DeepSeek is 671 billion parameters. I run a 12 billion parameter model here on my local box. I've got a card large enough to run it. It runs very fast. DeepSeek is not just blowing the water and leaving this thing behind. This is almost 75, 80% as good as DeepSeek every day of the week, and sometimes preferable. But they're just not going to get any better. So what's going to happen is they're going to start collapsing. People have started to do studies on this where they've actually started to fed AI generated data back into the models and start training it on there. And I thought, well, there'll be 27 iterations or something ridiculous like that before it actually starts to collapse. Turns out it was 3. The brown house goes quack, quack, dog, duck, brown brick. It spits out stuff like that. It's like, that's just after 3 rounds of training on its own data, which was comprehensible to us as humans because it read just fine. But when you realize that the words are just a proximity for probabilities and the way that they actually work, if more people knew how they work, they'd understand that this is coming. This AI model collapse is coming. So for people to think that it's going to perpetually always get better into the future and it's going to take away all these jobs, we have AGI coming, ASI, super intelligence, Terminator 4 style death is coming to us all. It's not happening. It's not.
So what about, so that you get all these pretty smart guys, Mo got it, I'm talking about people that are not currently building an AI model, the kind of guys that were maybe building 10 years ago or whatever. Why are they still out preaching, or in your opinion, I'm not asking you to speak for them, but like in your opinion, you think it's speaker fees and that's the hot topic right now?
It's the hot topic. I mean, if you were to go and, think about this. Let's say the 3 of us were able to speak to every single person inside the Goldman Sachs Tower tomorrow morning, and was actually able to convince them of the truth of what AI really is and how it worked. What would happen in the stock market come Monday?
Well, NVIDIA would crash first, which would then take every other tech company with it. Trillions would just roll over. It'd be such a black swan event. You go on LinkedIn right now, it's nothing but people just peddling AI. And it's because people don't know what it is, and it's an opportunity for me to take something that's fearful to you that you don't know, and I will be your priest and I will take care of it for you. Pay me the money. And there's just so much of that going on, and the hype's so big. So I think one of the bad spots is, take Apple for instance. They're behind in this game. They're not going to catch up until everybody else figures out what's really going on, and their chance for profit's not going to be there.
Do you see them buying a platform, or do you think they'll develop that internally?
I think they're going to try to develop it internally, and I think they're going to be late. Steve Jobs had already had this thing done and called it AI 14 by now. But sadly, really.
Tim's an operations guy, not a creative guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's done his job. I mean, credit to Tim Cook. He's done his job. He made the company profitable.
Yeah.
I mean,
he did good, but it's just, he wasn't ahead, and they're catching up, and it's not doing it. Their whole big thing is they still got everybody trapped in the ecosystem. So when they do bring the AI along, everybody's going to be satisfied. It's going to be happy, and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
They're 36 months behind the ball from where they should be on this.
I did hear that. I heard somebody say that they and Perplexity might be a fit, but Perplexity's not really AI. It's not generative AI anyway. It's not. It's more of a, I forgot what they call it, but it's
they've got the cash. They could buy.
They can buy anything they want. Yeah.
I mean, but
Perplexity just put in a bid for Chrome.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, to buy Chrome, I think they offered $31 or $34 billion to Google to buy it, which is double their market cap themselves. They said they had the investors to do it, but I don't think they're going to actually sell it.
I know they were trying to release their Comet browser. It's on a wait list right now, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So basically, what's happening is AI is now to the point where it's got to train itself, and like you said, if it does that, then pretty soon it just collapses because it just gets dumber and dumber. It's kind of like a toddler trying to train itself, I guess.
Right.
on whatever, right? It's just, it doesn't have enough context, doesn't have an emotional quotient, it doesn't have any way to like iterate in the right direction. And I think we were talking about this earlier, like the ability for AI to connect. It's a predictive engine, and if you've got better like data science type words for this, but my understanding is it's a predictive engine. So if you're asking it to do something in this realm, let's say literature, write a certain paper, or copywriting, write a certain way, direct response copywriting, by its nature, it's going to predict within that realm of knowledge, where some of the best copy or literature comes from taking something in a completely different realm and pulling it into that realm and combining the two.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my copywriting chiefs a long time ago, he used the example of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like that's something that AI would never put teenagers, mutants, ninjas, and turtles together.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't make sense. It like, right? But a creative person can put that together, sketch it out, create a story around it.
Right.
And now it's got all these skate culture, cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
you know, ninja, all this stuff in one, and it works. You know, that's the human element that you're not going to see, because it just draws from so many different places.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I think a lot of people, for those who actually don't know how the AIs do what they do, I'll try to give a brief explanation for the audience here. So first of all, this AI science is not new. This has been around since the 60s. We were doing this with analog computers back then. The only problem is that with analog computers, I still call them analog computers, they weren't very fast. We could just do, I think the first one they did was where they were trying to see the image of a cat in a pixelated form. It's like 48 pixels or whatever it was. So what it does is it says, okay, I've been given all of this stuff. I jump to the next step in line. I'm given all this stuff. All right, so I know what came after came because of what's before. And it keeps looking at that and it says, okay, you've seen enough time series data behind you. What's the probability of the next thing? Well, the way they did this with language is they didn't actually look at it by words. They look at it by tokens. And a token is a splice of a word. So say like Jonathan Taylor, for example, a token may be ATHAN space TAY. Okay, well, that's one token. Well, now if I train on enough data and I have my words split apart like that, it's a lot easier for me to predict what the next word is. It's just a giant autocomplete.
Yeah.
That's all that it is. And that's the reason that it can't be creative. That's the reason it can't think of Teenage Mutant and Ninja and Turtle in the same context, is because it's never seen these four things together before.
Right.
And how can I think that way? Because it can't.
Doesn't make
sense.
sense.
It's tricking people. Yeah, it's tricking people into thinking that's intelligent because it's using the same form of communication that you use.
Right.
But it's really not. That's just a disguise for the binary code on the chip that's just doing 11000111. It's the same computer program that runs Paint as running your AI. It's no different. It's just binary code on silicon. It's just going a lot faster.
Yeah.
Well, they just need to get whoever made Duck Hunt and that technology, and then we all. That's all.
I remember Duck Hunt.
That kept me mesmerized for years. Like I was like, how does it know how to do that? But I still don't understand that fully. But that makes sense. So like, you don't believe in the 2030 AGI, 2040 super intelligence, any of that stuff?
No, I don't. Even if we get the quantum computing off the ground, it's still, you're going to be in the same box. It can't, like you said before, cross-pollinate ideas. It's not going to be able to do that. Now,
is that because the people programming it don't think that way, and they think very singular goal focused? I heard a thing yesterday that was kind of leaning that way. That's like these tech guys, they get a very specific focus, which is just making it have a higher IQ.
Yeah.
And that's all they focus on. They leave out all the other human attributes.
Everybody's
that you would
a
want to
specialist
build into
today. Yeah.
Well, the problem comes, and this is where they're trying to solve exactly what we're talking about. Is you've heard of the AI agents, where
Yes.
basically I submit a request to an LLM. It splits it apart into all these different agents. The agents go and research all this stuff. They bring it back. They give it back to another LLM, another large language model, which then summarizes the data and feeds it back to you. Okay, well, that's them trying to get around this blocked cross pollination of ideas. Basically, I can't bridge beyond what I was trained to do.
Yeah.
But what it is you're still limited. You're just feeding it through 5 different AIs, and they're all limited on what they can do. So the back and forth between ideas is not there. It's here's a bunch of text. You take it and run with it.
Yeah.
I will see that as an input. Well, I'm only trained to do so much, and I can't volley back to the upper agent that gave it to me. So even though they're trying to get around it, they're still not able to do it because it can't pass back and forth, and it certainly can't output more context than it's been given, which is another fault of it. I mean, it can, but it's just all gibberish. It's hysteresis at that point.
Yeah, and I've noticed and if you understand that expectation, then you can guide it to get some of the stuff that you want to get. Like I'm working on a couple fiction books, and they're satire, so definitely outside of its kind of normal range. But once I kind of explain where I'm taking a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and a little bit of this, then it can put everything together and do a pretty good job. But it can't do that on its own.
Yeah. It cannot do that on its own. I think a lot of people are prompting their stuff wrong, and they're thinking, well, I can just go ahead and tell it to do, write me an entire sales letter based on this. No, you cannot. I mean, you can, but it's going to be pretty terrible. If you want it to write a sales letter for you, you have to go to it and say, okay, we're going to work on the attention part of my sales letter. Here's all the pain points. Here's my customer avatar. And I need this to focus on these 3 appeals. Then it can write that section of your sales letter. And then you can say, okay, I like what you did here in these lines, but these 2 lines need some iteration, and work with it. And it can get that section kind of roughed out. Take that, put it over here. You got to start over, work on your next section. And you have to feed it a lot more context and give it a lot more instruction than people think.
Yeah.
And even still, when you get done, you're going to have a C-level sales letter that can now be your control for which you have to beat.
Right.
Yeah, and then you've got to go back and weave everything together, and you've got to, all that stuff. Because the nuance in copy is so. I mean, it's just every line has to hold its weight. You were talking about Eugene Schwartz earlier. I don't know if you shelled out the money for the Brilliance Breakthrough, his other book.
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's published through our friend Brian Kurtz, who's been on the show. But it's how he writes sentences. Like it gets down micro level, like why he chooses the words he does in a sentence. And he literally teaches you how to build a sentence in that book. And it's got a workbook that goes with it.
You can use the
and
workbook.
It's incredible because it really shows you the nuance of a sentence and how every word really does have to pull its own weight. And I think that's where AI comes just woefully short. Like it just, it tries to get to the point too quickly because its job is to be efficient and get the task done. And it doesn't have that understanding of kind of drawing things out and, the cliffhangers and the plot twists or anything, various types of writing. So yeah, it's just that book, The Brilliance Breakthrough. You got to check it out if you've not checked it out.
I need to get that.
I'll find a link if you don't know it. If you just search The Brilliance Breakthrough, and then I think Brian Kurtz, Kurtz.
He's the only one that sells it, right?
Yeah, he's got the rights to it.
He's got the rights.
Yeah, because he used to work directly with Eugene Schwartz. Brian Kurtz was the publisher at Boardroom back in the day.
Okay. I have to get that book.
Jonathan, are you a Perry Marshall? Do you follow him much?
I don't actually. No.
Okay. You kind of remind me of him.
Yeah, you've got that engineering person, combo that he
Yeah.
talks about for sure. So, um, for our listeners, I'm going to put the Brilliance Breakthrough in the chat as well. Probably should do an affiliate link, but I don't have one. So, um, and I'll send it to you separately, Jonathan, if you
Yeah.
want it. But
Perfect. Oh, yes. Yes, please do.
um, yeah. So what do we think? You think there's just going to be a return to people are like going to be they're just going to get fed up with AI and they're just going to go back to doing what we were doing 3 years ago? Or do you think do you think there's uses for it?
There's definitely uses for it. I think a lot's going to come out in the wash in about the next 5 to 7 years. I think it's going to take that long for people to actually weed through it and decide what's what and what it is and what it's not. Because the hype is so big and the marketing engine is so large, and there's going to be so much investment put into it that the hype bubble is not going to be allowed to deflate without some weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yeah, so there's going to be a large pushback between the hype bubble getting deflated. So when people start to realize, hey, this ain't really what everyone thought it was, you're going to see YouTube videos start to come down. You're going to see LinkedIn profiles start to get shut down.
Yeah,
lots of this stuff's going to happen because the investment we dumped, before NVIDIA did its split, someone bought NVIDIA at $9.52 per share, like an insane evaluation, 100 times larger than its cash flow.
Right.
Why would you do that? Even if the company was around for 200 years, it could never pay you back. Someone bought it. And it wasn't just someone like me or you. This is someone like at Goldman Sachs that put in a huge bid that moved it. And so there's too much investment at this point to let the hype bubble die. So you're going to see the hype bubble stay inflated for a long time. What's going to be happening, I believe, is it's going to be at the individual level and especially at the business level. People are going to start realizing, hey, this is not what they promised me. Look at all these limitations. And then all of a sudden, these businesses are going to say, they're going to start to be put off by the latest AI trend. They're going to be like, we've done this. We've invested in this. You're the fifth person in the 7 years that I've worked here that says, if I'll just invest in this AI-driven research, blah, 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 I'll increase my profit. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And it's going to start turning people off, and it's going to be harder to sell. In the meantime, I think larger corporations are going to be incorporating it, and they're probably going to be incorporating it poorly. People like
most
Oracle,
likely they're just. That's typically the way it goes, though.
Yeah, I see things like you take
They're
SAP.
always, yeah.
Are y'all familiar with SAP software?
Yeah.
Yeah. So SAP, JD Oracle, large enterprise-wide software that's a pain to use. No one enjoys it, but yet those are the only two players. You're going to use one of them. I think they're going to try to incorporate it somehow, and it's going to be a complete disaster for companies. And there's going to be other pains like that. And what's really going to be bad is the code base. Because when we start relying on AI for all this coding, and it's pretty terrible and non-maintainable, and then there's no one left around to actually maintain it or write it correctly without having to rely on their AI, which botched it up in the first place. That's going to be a big issue as well. Like COBOL right now, we have no one that knows how to do it, and yet if COBOL goes down, all our money's lost. That's a real danger. And so,
well, if what you're saying is true, we're creating entire industries around AI. Like, we Sean and I had a guy on security that's like, they have security companies now working, doing cybersecurity and things like that against what, AI is becoming more sophisticated with fraud,
Voice
fraudsters
cloning
out there, people that are cloning voices and things like that. But that's just one example of so many things that are just being put out, based on AI, in anticipation of the technology getting even more sophisticated, and so
And
we'll see.
It definitely will, as far as like, making images, making videos, making video games, like you said, cloning voices. Right now I can, for free, go online, download the software kit, put it on this box, and clone my voice and have it speak through speakers throughout my house when I ask it questions. I can basically make my own Alexa with my own voice. You can do that today, and sure, that's great. I'm not really sure how that benefits anyone, but you could definitely do it. I wouldn't want to listen to it. So, and there's going to be more of that, and it's going to change things, but it's not going to be the end of the world.
Right.
I posted the other day, some young girl posted on LinkedIn that AI is going to displace all these jobs, and we're going to have to create a new society and everything else. And I said, listen, let's calm down. we first had the Industrial Revolution, and everybody moved to the city, and civilization survived. We all found employment. After that, we had advancements in technology like washing machines. The housewives still found things to do. There was still a need for them. They didn't have to go down to the creek and scrub with a washboard anymore, but they still found things to get done. They still stayed busy. We had Moore's Law come on the scene when we started developing computers and mainframes. And, that was transformational. Moore's Law, it's going to come, and we're all going to be only working 1 hour a week, and everything, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 50, 60 years, and none of that came true either.
Yeah. What was the book, The End of Work, that was back in the 70s?
The End of Work. You're just seeing that again because it's something new. People don't understand it. They're buying the hype, and they think this is going to change everything. It's groundbreaking. It's same thing's going to happen with quantum computing when that comes on the scene. If they ever get that going, which is, I'm not sure how much of that is reality versus marketing right now myself. And, let's differentiate from marketing. Let's say searching for investments.
Yeah. Hype.
Hype.
Financial hype, anyway.
That's a good point, though. You think about the people that, all this money that's being invested. It's, you can't let you don't want this train to go off the track, right? I mean, you're pretty well invested into this, and you want you want to see that money keep rolling in, right? These investment dollars. And
well, we saw it with the internet, in 2000. What happened there, and and it doesn't mean when the bubble burst, it didn't mean the internet stopped working.
No,
or that it wasn't going to be a thing. Like, it just meant that it was overhyped, and there was a lot of false companies out there that weren't going to be standing after that clear. And we're going to have the same thing again. You're going to have
it was like a cleaning out.
Companies that are the AI companies, and everybody else is just going to disappear and start over. And then all of a sudden you'll have the next iteration, AI 2.0, AI 3.0, or whatever, whatever that looks like.
That's the perfect example right there. Is the dot-com bubble. You nailed it. I mean, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, the tide's going to go out. We're going to see who's wearing trunks and who isn't, and that's going to be the end of it. And then we're going to move on, and life's going to be just fine. But it's staying around with us. It's going to stick around. We're going to end up having to live with it, and it's going to get incrementally better. But it's not going to just take over the world, and everyone's going to have to just figure out a way to live in the virtual reality of the metaverse.
Well, I was hoping for that UBI check, but I guess I should just keep working a little longer.
I'm afraid we're going to have to.
What is UBI? Universal Basic Income.
Yeah, I mean that's what that's what all the tech gazillionaires are talking about. It's like, we'll just give everybody a check. Don't worry about it. Which I'm not sure where that comes from, but
yeah, exactly. Where is that coming from?
They always avoid that question, like whatever. But so, well, Jonathan, this has been good stuff. I mean, we've kind of gone around
that's a fun discussion.
Globe here. We could probably sit around a fire pit and continue this conversation all night. Maybe we have to do that. Maybe I'll come up to Murfreesboro and do that one night. But
that'd be fun.
Sounds good.
Anything
Where
else
can
you
the-
want to? Yeah, where can people find you? I've got a couple websites here. I'll throw up on the screen.
There'll be two websites. They can find me on measurableadvertising.com, and they can also find me at jonathanadams.pro.
Okay. And I put those in the links on the YouTube, on Twitch, because I know all our listeners are on Twitch, and Facebook as well. So I'll put those in there. Any last words of advice or anything else that you want to
Got
share?
one
with
listener
people?
that likes our facial growth, I guess.
I
at
like
least.
that. I think they're talking about me, not you, but just for the record. But
I guess one piece of advice is keep learning. That's one thing I've always enjoyed, and it's always proven well for me. Just keep learning new things and keep applying and keep growing.
you were definitely a poster child for that. I mean, you
Yeah.
had a little bit of everything going on there in all the realms. So true Renaissance man, or whatever today's version of that is. So yeah, we've enjoyed talking with you. We'll probably have to have you on again in a couple of years when we find out if the models actually collapsed or if we were wrong, or see which way that goes. But
That sounds good.
this current Chat GPT-5, it definitely feels like you're right, but
Yeah.
who knows? I was going to say earlier, I'll end with this real quick. When you were talking about how people are going to just realize that this isn't what they thought it was, it reminded me of Eugene Schwartz's market sophistication. It feels like we're going to go on that same curve that he talked about in that book, where it gets hyped, and then it's going to come all the way back around to just the basics, you know? So
funny thing you mentioned ChatGPT-5. I remember like the night it came out, the hype was huge. It's just all over YouTube, all over LinkedIn. It was just, it's amazing. And then now, it's been a week later.
Yeah.
Hey, this thing, they broke it. And I was like, well, it's changed kind of fast. So people getting upset.
Yeah, it's crazy how upset a lot of my friends but the friends that are most upset are the ones that have AI businesses, that they're selling AI courses and they're selling AI, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So this would be their next iteration to sell stuff. And I had one friend who he sells like how to write a book using AI, and he had this whole process. And when ChatGPT-5 came out, it broke his whole process.
No.
And he had a live 3-day like boot camp thing going on, and nothing worked. Like it broke every process. So it's crazy. Now they've rolled everything back. It's kind of like the new Coke thing. Yeah, they've rolled everything back, and you can get the old models and all that stuff. But it definitely feels like a new Coke kind of moment.
Pull back the new Coke.
Coke
that's one of the reasons I always like, running my own local models. It's your hardware, it's your models. It's not going to change unless you want to change it. And
that's a good idea. I need to look more into that. I'm a little technophobe when you get into that level of stuff, but I may have to try it, because I think there are some valuable things to do, and it can speed up processes, but it's got to be stable and reliable, so that if I do the same process, I'm going to get the same output.
Yeah, and I actually only run, out of all the models available, there's only 2 that I have on my box. I had 4 or 5. I tested a bunch of them, and I just didn't like them. And I found 1 or 2 that I liked. I'm like, okay, these are good assistants to help me with certain tasks, and I'll use them for that. Beyond that, I don't have any interest in it.
Yeah, just sit down and do the work yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing your opinion on crypto is very similar, right? This is
crypto is that's a whole man. I don't even know where you start with that. So the philosophical debate alone is it currency?
Yeah.
I mean, because currency is whatever people believe it to be. Like for instance, the dollar bill in your wallet. If you take out your dollar bill, it was not minted by the U.S. government. Hasn't been minted by the U.S. government since 1968?
Yeah.
Was the last time that the U.S. government actually produced currency in the form of a dollar bill note. Since then, that says Federal Reserve note. That means that a privately held bank is counterfeiting money, and because you believe it's money, you accept that it's money, and so does everybody else. Oh, that's a great scheme. How do I get in on that? Well, it turns out you actually buy Bank of America, which is one of the largest shareholders of the Federal Reserve, and you get to print money, which is kind of a good deal. Anyways, so it's money is what people believe it is, and
it's
El
based on trust.
Salvador, it's based on trust and faith. And once people lose that faith in that system, that money collapses, and that actually happens more often than you would think. If
Right.
you actually pull up charts of that, somewhere around the world, a country loses their currency about once every 7 years. And basically, every 7 years, there's some country on the face of this planet where their currency completely collapses.
Wow.
Just like the German Republic did back in the 30s.
Yeah, the Weimar.
Weimar Republic. That happens to some country around the world every 7 years on average. Now, we don't think about that. We don't hear about it.
Smaller countries like Zimbabwe and
Right.
Well, and countries were less connected then, so the more connected we get, the harder. I mean, not the harder, but the bigger you are, the harder it is for that to happen. Just for the same reason we talked about AI hype.
Correct.
Right? There's too many things that it's propping up to let it fail. It's the whole too big to fail kind of thing. From 2008. But I mean, right now, crypto is a stock. It's not a currency.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's an investment.
It's a speculation, not even
speculation,
investment.
Because even though they say there's a limited amount,
until we split it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What wasn't that something?
Yeah.
There's only going to be so much. There's only going to be so much.
Yeah. They've been saying the same thing about gold and silver for a long time, and
I know some very, very smart people though who are completely. I mean, they're all in on crypto.
Yeah.
Well, I know a guy. He's ex-military. He came back and he was working with companies to sell them, basically card readers and data services, so they could actually accept crypto as payment. And that was before the cerveza sickness of 2019. And I don't know what happened when Bitcoin took that tumble, but he was all about it. And so there's lots of people that still believe in it. And so I don't know, maybe it has more adoption, but it's still, here's how you know it's speculative. The swings are so wild. And you can't peg it against anything. Right. Because you can't peg it against itself. It does no work. It's of no value. You can't hold it. If the electricity goes out,
I have yet to understand how the technology is benefiting anyone. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not yet. I mean, for a while there, you saw it on some shopping cart pages and stuff as a currency, but even those kind of disappeared and haven't. I mean, they're very rare to see now. Mm-hmm. So it's. I'm not saying it's not going to be a currency, but I'm saying right now, it is not a currency. It's a speculative play.
Well, you can't use a currency that fluctuates as much as it does. I mean, that's impossible. There's no way.
The average person can't count on that. Like, getting paid in Bitcoin, that could be a 30% jump or decline in your income, depending on, what time you go to dinner and you got to pay with your little card. You may or may not have the money,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because most people are living paycheck to paycheck anyway, so you can't have those fluctuations at all.
Yeah, it's definitely just speculation, and speculation's a hard game. It's a real hard game. Lots of smart people try it, and it's difficult.
That's a good follow-up episode that we need to have with you, because I know you do a lot of trading, so there's a lot that goes into that from a psychological standpoint. So maybe we'll have you back on, Jonathan, here in the near future.
I'd love to discuss that. That's always a fun topic. So
be fun.
Yeah.
All right. That is Jonathan Adams. Sean's got the website down. He's posted the links, jonathanadams.pro. I think there's did you mention the other website, which is measurableadvertising.com is the other. Yep. We'll post both of those links on our show page, Jonathan. Thank you so much for spending some time. I know we went way over, but it was a fun discussion. So appreciate you joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Yep. You bet. We're going to go ahead and close out and just hang tight real quick. We'll just go ahead and wrap up the show. To all of our listeners, you can find us at persuasionbythepint.com. This is episode 403. You can check us out over at our show page and all of your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, we're there. Check us out, persuasionbythepint.com. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.